This is EDM Weekly.
Welcome back to my channel. I am Garrett Gaudet, and I'm with Daniel today talking all about EDM Weekly 300.
Garrett, how are you?
Good. Tired,
That's great.
but good.
That's good. Garrett, I am just very happy that you were able to create your 300th episode for EDM. How do you feel?
Good. It's kind of surreal because it's been 6 years since I first uploaded the first episode, and then weekly episodes since November 2014. So it's almost been 5 years every week uploading an episode. So it's been quite a journey and a process as far as creatively, musically, and just making sure I can have the time to put out a new episode every week.
Yeah. So how do you keep yourself persevering and keeping the consistency of doing an episode a week for 5 years?
Yeah, it's a lot. So it's kind of just allocating the time to kind of sit down and do it, but it just makes it so easy with a passion for music, and it just flows so naturally. Last year I introduced the spectrum of dance as like the motto for EDM Weekly and for the radio show podcast, and it just has allowed me to have a little more freedom of what I play, so it just won't get boring for me or the audience.
Awesome. And what would you say is your most memorable show so far?
It probably has to be either the A State of Trance episode from 2017, where I did a little mix for the A State of Trance event in Utrecht, Netherlands for ASA 800, where I went and interviewed Marlo, Ori Nielsen, and Vinny Vici. That sticks out as a significant one. Tomorrowland mixes, the Darko guest mix that we had just a couple months ago, and of course episode 300. It's probably one of my favorites I've done in a long time.
Awesome. So let's go back. When you first started your first episode, I want you to just take me back in time and tell me how that day was. Maybe even the whole week prior to the first episode.
I don't even know if there was a week of preparation. I think, what I remember, it was a Sunday night, the Grammys were on. And I thought, hey, now's the time to make a podcast. So I don't know how much time or thought went into creating the first episode or what it was gonna be. I'm not sure when I came up with the name, but it stuck. I have the Twitter handle. But yeah, it was very spontaneous. I used a MacBook Air like this, and I didn't even use a microphone. It was just using the built-in microphone, and that's all I used. You can go back and listen to the first one. It's still up there, and what a journey it's been. You go from 1 to 300, and you can see the difference, the improvement, and you just have to start somewhere. And I didn't really have any expectations when I started the first episode, so I think that was probably ideal for starting something like this, is not having any expectations. And it was just all about sharing the music that I love, and no one in my friend group at the time listened to the music I like. So it's just an outlet, a creative outlet to share the music I liked.
Right.
Because that's before really streaming was a thing, so you can create playlists. Most of the DJs that I listened to or watched on radio shows or live streams or podcasts at that time all had them. So it seemed like the thing to do, and it seems every big DJ nowadays has one.
Right. Well, one of my other questions was going to be, what were your hopes and goals when you created your first podcast? And did reality surpass your expectations?
So I didn't have any expectations, and I think that really helped long term. I wasn't hard on myself like I am now. Like if I don't get a mix right, I'm staying up for hours trying to make sure it is right. So there weren't any expectations. I didn't know what I was doing. I knew kind of what a podcast was. I knew what I wanted to play. I didn't have an intro. My mixing skills and abilities were not good back in 2013. So I think it helps not having any expectations, because I don't know if it would have gotten to that point if I had expectations because it just kept growing and growing naturally. I haven't done any promo for it. And I think it's because of that it's still going today.
Right. So, of course, since you started doing this, you've also had the opportunity to interview a few people that are very close to everything that is related to EDM. So, what was your most memorable interview so far?
There's a couple. There's a couple where I've been really fortunate to have the opportunity to interview a lot of influential artists in the dance music community. For the most part, I've interviewed a lot of trance artists. The most memorable is probably at A State of Trance 800. That was probably the most significant event I've done to date still. And that was just such a memorable experience. Being based in Canada, I flew out to Amsterdam and got to go backstage in the artist lounge and just interview artists that were about to step on the main stage, which is just insane. I think I was 20 at the time, and just being able to have access to these world-class DJs is pretty cool. And I'm a fan of all of these artists that I interview. So it's cool to just really get a feel of the personality behind the music and just kind of see that they're just people, really. Yeah. Like as glorified as they are as having the best job in the world, which it is. It's just cool to see them off stage before their set and after their set, and just see how much passion and emotion they put into their set. So my most memorable interview has to be either Jorn van Deynhoven at Escape Together in Toronto. It was just such a good connection, really personal, and just backstage. It was actually done in a bathroom, in like the green room, which was it's an odd spot, but acoustically that was the best place to do it, because the green room backstage at that venue was open, so the sound from the stage the audio would not have worked. So it was just it was just thrown together, I guess this will have to do. So the background is a Beatles poster, and you never know from watching the interview, and if you haven't watched it, check it out on my channel, link in the description. Or my Marlowe interview at A State of Trance was also really good. A big fan of him before I interviewed him, big fan after him, and just seeing him so excited about playing the main stage for the first time, I believe. And then Ori Nielsen at the same festival at ASOT 800 was also really great. Really personal interview, and he just came off playing the main stage, and he was just buzzing and glowing from just playing the main stage, because that's like their Super Bowl. That's what they work all year to do, and it was a really cool interaction.
That's incredible. Right, so you mentioned State of Trance 800, and you said that gave you one of your most memorable interviews. Mm-hmm. But in terms of concerts you've attended, what is the most memorable one? That
one's for sure top 2. Probably the other one has to be the Swedish House Mafia One Last Tour. I just started this podcast maybe a week or 2 before the show, and dance music and EDM was just so new, and it was really getting commercialized and just kind of reaching a pinnacle of just that, I guess, golden era, some would say, of the genre of dance music. And is the One Last Tour is their last tour. I've never seen them up to that point. And they were just so hyped, and they still are today, funnily enough, now that they're back. It was in the Rogers Center, massive stadium where the Toronto Blue Jays play. I think it was 60,000 people over the course of 2 nights. For electronic act, that's huge to sell any stadium, but that was my first, I guess, introduction into like a dance music event, and it was just the largest scale besides like a music festival.
That's awesome. Can you tell us how you got the tickets for that? Because that was pretty sold out.
Yeah, so both shows were sold out. So I was listening to the radio, because that's what you did 6 years ago.
Right.
Before streaming, or I guess there was still YouTube, but I was listening to the radio, and they were giving away Swedish House Mafia tickets months in advance. and I won a pair. So it's kind of like meant to be, and that's kind of how I got more into EDM. And then definitely experiencing it live is so much different. Well, it enhances the experience because the atmosphere and the energy from the crowd, the people, and just the performance definitely elevates your experience for dance music.
Awesome. What's your next concert?
I don't think I have one. Actually, no, it's probably going to be a show in Toronto. It hasn't been announced yet, but one of my friends is throwing it. It is a trance artist, and I have seen him before. So it's probably going to be in Toronto, and I will probably make another video about that, about the whole event coming up. But yeah, I can't say too much on that yet.
Awesome. And now let's talk about a little bit about the future. So what is next for EDM Weekly?
Oh, good question. Just, I guess, as long as I have passion for it and I still love what I'm doing and it doesn't seem like work and I'm still enjoying myself, so I don't know when it's going to stop. So it could perpetually keep going for the next 6 years again until I hit 600, which is insane.
Yeah.
And that's harder to fathom. But I guess for EDM Weekly, it's going to be about the music. It's going to be connecting the audience with more interviews, more access to artists. Yeah, there's big plans in the future, and hopefully we'll get into events, maybe.
That would be incredible.
So stay tuned for that. I've been working on that forever, but I think it's going to happen soon.
That's awesome. All right, and now let's talk a little bit about statistics.
Sure.
How has your podcast been doing all around the world?
Globally, it performs really well. Probably Canada's one of the worst performing countries, funnily enough. Japan and Asia has always been big for the show. South Africa, Belize, Sri Lanka, like it's a mix of countries that I would never have thought that someone would listen to my show from there.
Right.
So it's nice to see the support globally, because I think that's so unique to dance music that so many artists and DJs or podcasters can just put out their music, and it connects with so many people, no matter what ethnicity, religion, country. They're fans of it, and they just want more. And I think that's so unique to dance music, where it just connects globally, no matter who is listening.
So, are you thinking about doing different podcasts, not related to EDM?
I had a talk show back in 2013, 2014. I did that for not quite as long as this. I think it ran for about 20, 25 episodes. And I've always wanted to do another talk show. I've always wanted to be a talk show host. And I love podcasting, really. And when I started it back in 2013, podcasting is not where it is today. So you can find podcasts on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, subscribe to EDM Weekly on there, Google. So yeah, I definitely want to get back into it. I definitely want to create more content. There's still going to be lots of dance music related content, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely not stepping away from EDM Weekly, but just trying something new would be nice. I don't know when, but eventually, yeah.
Eventually. That's great. Well, thank you so much for answering all these questions.
Yeah, thanks for being on my channel. And I'm glad I got to talk to someone about EDM Weekly 300. It's such a massive milestone. It's hard to believe it's been 300 episodes, because it's such a routine to do every single week, and it's been a long time doing it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I started when I was 16, and now we're here today at episode 300. So it's really awesome to see the support and still see it growing, and still loving it 6 years later. So yeah, so definitely check out episode 300 if you haven't had a chance to, and there are new episodes of EDM Weekly every Wednesday, so make sure to check that out. Hopefully I'll be posting more videos about dance music and other content on my channel, so make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.